Oh. Okay, by special request, not from one person, not from two people, not from three people, but quite a few of you, you want to know my history with Gamestop, the massive United States retailer for video games. You can see them everywhere. In fact, there's actually one area near me that has 2 GameStops within a 5-block radius. Why is that needed? Spaghetti Monster God or whatever the fuck you worship only knows. Okay? Where to start? There's so many things. I was a management position, but of course the company didn't want to pay me like one, so they didn't consider me one. Believe it or not, apparently opening the store and closing the store and being in charge of other coworkers doesn't count as management. So when the store needs to open and you're the only person that goes in the store to open the store, guess what? That's not a management position because the title actually doesn't have management in it. And in the afternoon, when you close down the registers, count everything down, send the people that you need to go home, and you're the last one left, that's still not a management position. Oh, and when customers have something to complain about, and you're the only person that knows how to fix it, that's still not a management position. I was a third key, is what they called it. I had key to the store. I can go into the store. I mean, not legally, but I can go into the store anytime I want with a key to the store. I knew a code to the safe. I knew the process for shutting things down. The only thing that I didn't do was manage schedules. That's it. So you're still going to tell me that I'm not managing things, that I'm not taking things in control? Okay, GameStop, whatever you say. Thanks for paying me $8.60 an hour after 4 years of service. They don't care about you. But I digress. I'm here to tell you a story about my experiences, and some of you may have heard these stories already, and some of you haven't, but I'm still going to tell them anyway. And maybe some stories might just pop up in my head, like stuff that I just might remember from something else. But I have like a little list of things that I wrote down about some things that just happened within those 4 years, and I got to tell you, they're not really all that positive. All right, where to start? If you want to know what kind of worker I was the go-to guy. I wasn't necessarily the most charismatic, and I definitely didn't have the highest sales numbers, but a lot of people came to me for answers, for opinions, for device help. Like, there were so many times where an old lady came into the store, and I'm talking grandma, okay? She comes in, she says, I got my grandkid, I bought him this Wii, and I bought him another controller, but I can't figure out how to connect it. And I know where they're coming from, okay? Because it's not as, it really isn't that simple for them. I mean, they're out of touch with technology, so you have to be simple, you have to be calm, you have to make it as easy as possible. No, cat, you go away. What? Hey! Get out of here. All right. Where was I? Okay. So the old ladies, they don't really understand. The old guys, they don't understand. So you got to be calm and you got to be relaxed with them. They don't know what's going on. So I'm like, hey, look, all you have to do is open up where you put the batteries, and then you open up this little compartment on the Wii right here, and then these 2 red buttons. You see these 2 red buttons? You press them both at the same time, and it syncs it up with the system, just like it would with a TV remote. Oh, that's much more simple than I thought it was going to be, and all of a sudden, oh, thank you, you're so nice, blah, blah, blah. And this went on for years and years and years. It wasn't just with the old people, it was for everybody. If you didn't understand something, aside from the regulars that I joked around with, I explained it to you in a language that you can understand. Hell, there were even some people that came in. I don't even talk about sports games or anything. I don't play sports games. I don't pay attention to sports. And they're asking me details about the sports game. I'm not going to lie to them. I'm going to get real with them. Look, hey, look, man, did you like the previous Madden games? Yeah. Well, besides some roster changes and maybe some feature changes, I mean, it's not like they really made a whole lot of improvements graphically as far as I can see, but, you know, you probably will enjoy it if you enjoy the last Madden. Oh, yeah, you're right. Like, how much more honest could I be about that? They changed some few things and moved on with their lives. That's just how it is. But apparently, after getting fired for a few write-ups, which I will go over those write-ups later, the store apparently got lots of negative feedback after I left. Now, why is that? And it turns out that a lot of the customers that I helped, whenever they saw me working, they specifically came to me. They didn't go to anybody else. They enjoyed my company. They enjoyed the way that I explained things. They enjoyed the way that I even sold them things. It wasn't necessarily me about just always getting the dollar or anything like that. I tried to sell them stuff if they needed it. Not because they just, oh, hey, look, you're going to have people over. You better get 4 whole controllers. No, fuck you, GameStop. Stop. I understand you get extra money from the sales and stuff, but you can't treat customers like that. You just can't. They're not going to come back. They won't come back if you treat them like wallets. And the customers loved me for it. So for 3 whole months, they call up the store. They'd say, hey, where's this guy at? Oh, well, he's not here anymore. Well, why isn't he here anymore? Why did you guys get rid of him? People would come into the store and even complain. It wasn't just phone calls. People would come in asking where I'm at. I'm nowhere to be found. But of course, they had to come up with some little lies and stuff because they didn't want to seem evil. They're like, oh, yeah, he went back to school, or yeah, he found a better job. They couldn't just outright say, we fired him. You want to know why? Because those people would have been outright pissed. Those people would have been massively pissed that they fired one of the only people that they trusted in that retail store. So, that's not to say that some of my coworkers had their own customer issues. Oh boy. This is where the going gets good. All right, there's this one guy, tall, charismatic, knew lots of people that came into the store. He always had the most up-to-date phone. He was always talkative with people, like, always talking about other things that went on with their lives and stuff. He never really remembered anyone's name, especially all the women that came in, because he was a bit of a womanizer too. He never really played video games. Ever. Aside from like the few like top ones that come out, like some of those few like advertising everywhere for it kind of games that come out, because he has to play it because he knows everyone's going to talk about it, but that's about it. He doesn't play video games. This one customer comes in. He's an old guy. He wants to buy the newest Ace Combat at the time. And if I remember right, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was like Ace Combat 5. So he's like, oh, is this like the previous Ace Combats? And he looked at me and I was like, oh, I have no idea. And then I looked over to my coworker and I said, hey, is it like the previous Ace Combats? And he sees it in my eyes. He knows that I am fucking with him because he doesn't know jack shit about this. He knows. So he looks at the customer and he says, oh yeah, it's like the previous ones. You're really going to enjoy it. Blah, 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 blah. So the guy goes, oh man, I can't wait. He rings it up. He even gives them like a membership system, like with the $15 membership card. He hooks them up with that and everything too. Like he does the whole shebang with it. He, talks himself into the sale. So the guy leaves happy. 3 hours, he comes back and he comes in mad. He is not happy because the dude lied to him. My coworker lied to him, and the old man started cursing him out a storm. Oh my God, this isn't the same thing. You fucking lied to me and blah, blah, blah. This is too different, blah, blah, blah. You didn't fucking play these games. Like he's cursing him. Like he does not give a shit. And that guy's just got to stand there and suck it all up. And the guy left angry and he left a negative review. Well, what you going to do? It's such a, oh man, it's so good. It was so good to see just that little bit of justice being served because someone finally told that guy off. Because he has told so many lies to customers that if Pinocchio was real, they would be using his nose for firewood. I don't know. Like, I think that was like done in Family Guy or whatever as a joke. But honestly, like you could get infinite wood from Pinocchio based on the amount of lies this guy told in the store, and especially out of the store too. Now there's this other coworker. It's a she, all right? And you know, she's let's be honest here. A lot of times when you talk to a girl, sometimes she's not feeling good, or maybe she's just down, or maybe she actually is sick, and it happens. But this person was sick all the time. Like, I'm talking all the time, to the point where she would skip out on entire shifts, not feeling good. Or even if she was working a shift, all she would do was complain the entire shift, so everyone else would do all the work for her. And it one of the times that really just pissed me off was when she opened one time and she was like, "Oh my God, it's been so busy. I don't know what to do, and all this other stuff, and all this has been processed and everything." And I look in the back and there's tons of boxes of shipment that came in that hasn't been processed yet. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I haven't been feeling good, and I did." I'm like, "Okay, well, what did you do all day?" And she's like, "I helped customers." There were only 5 transactions for 6 hours. For 6 hours, there were only 5 transactions, and you've been helping customers? Okay. And then when I go in the back, where the cage area is, and the cage is the term for the place where they keep all the expensive stuff, like systems. Like, there's a security cage and everything in the back room for it. And I look in the cage, and I see a folded up chair with an empty Wendy's smoothie cup on top. So what does that tell me? There's no camera in the cage, but she's saying that she did all this stuff today, yet all of a sudden there's this folded chair with a Wendy's cup in the back. She sat on her ass in the cage, away from a camera, and ate Wendy's. You gotta be shitting me. That's not okay. Like, I'm not a perfect person, okay? I had my own screw-ups. I've done my own bad things before and everything, but you can, come on. You've got to have a little bit more self-control than that. I can understand if you're just having like a headache or something like that, but don't lie to me. I actually would have been okay if you said it wasn't really all that busy today. Sorry I didn't get any shipments done. I just kind of sat in the back and I ate Wendy's. I would have been like, "Oh, yeah, that kind of sucks, but you know, I'll try and do some shipments." But instead you lied to me about it. Oh my God. Not to mention, let's talk about district managers. District managers are your boss's boss, okay? They're the guy that handles all the things that the managers are doing at the time. They coordinate all the different marketing for that specific region and all this other kind of stuff. You know, that's just their job. They got to be up your boss's boss ass. So, there was a conference call, and man, I love this story. So sit back and relax. There was a conference call. I was the quote unquote not manager, but manager on duty. And there were maybe about 20 other managers in this conference call. And the district manager, he's British. I don't know why anyone would want to be British, but he's British. He starts talking about selling proper sales techniques for the new Call of Duty coming out. And everyone's like agreeing with him and all this other kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Okay, well, if someone were to come up to you and they were to ask for a good game, are you going to hand them the new Call of Duty?" And everyone's like, yeah. And then me, with my balls of steel, I decided to say no. And he goes, Who said that? And you can hear the tone, especially through that phone. Who said that? Who said no? And I gave him my name and I gave him my store number. And he goes, "Why would you say no? We're trying to sell Call of Duty here." And I said, "Well, you just asked what's a good game. I don't know if it's like for their daughter or anything like that. What if they're looking for a game for their sister or a younger brother? I'm not going to sell them Call of Duty." And he goes, oh, well, yeah, you have a point, but I don't understand where you're coming from. I mean, if someone were to come in and say, "I would like to purchase a good game," would you hand them Bella Sarah Horse Adventures, or would you hand them the next Call of Duty? And I said, "Well, if it's their daughter, I'd hand them Bella Sarah Horse Adventures." And he goes, "So you know that Bella Sarah Horse Adventures is a good game?" And I said, "Yeah, I actually played it. And I had a horse named Summer Salt. First name Summer, last name Salt. It's a cute name." And the whole conference lit up in laughter, but you can tell that dude's face was red like lava. He was pissed. He's like, okay, but other than that, you're going to suggest Call of Duty, right? Yeah, I'll suggest it if they're looking for a good first-person shooter, not just a good game. And he goes, okay then, all right. And you can tell he did not let that down, because I actually started having serious problems with this guy a little bit afterwards, because he was looking for reasons to fire me at that point. I didn't have the best sales. I definitely had some good customer service numbers, but sales was everything. We gotta push that extra piece of crap that they don't actually need. They need those steering wheels for the Wii. So there's some other things that have already been confirmed by other people, but mark me one as another person that's going to confirm this. How they handled customers' money. It's not necessarily a district manager. It's not necessarily a manager or any particular person in general, but it's how the company in general handled people's reserves, handled people's money that they never really saw because they already gave it away. Say a customer was to have a game reserved, and it's been like a year since they picked it up. In fact, I actually still saw a reservation for Elder Scrolls Oblivion reserved, and I think the year was 2010 that I saw that. All right, well, the district manager and some other people were like, all right, start calling people who haven't picked up their reserves yet for older games. And I eventually found that one. I'm like, what did I do with that? Can I just call them back and say, hey, come pick up your $5 and put it on another reserve? No, just move it to something. Move it to one of the new reserves that we have going on, like one of the hot titles. Because if you get more reserves for the hot titles, especially if your store gets more reserves on the really hot titles that they want to sell, then it'll look good for the store rankings and stuff like that, and everyone will be putting this nice shiny light. Oh, look how many good reserves for that game that they got. Well, whatever. So instead of letting this customer know that his money on the game can be transferred to something that he wants, we are going to transfer it to something that he probably doesn't want without him knowing and without his permission. And they were perfectly okay with that. They were okay with doing that with people's money. That's disgusting. That's extremely untrustworthy. That should almost, outside of some probably like some really fine print for the company policy, that should probably be illegal. You're doing things with other people's money that you just shouldn't be doing. Now, there were some other things that went on. For instance, when a used system was traded in, the controller, the system itself might work correctly, and we test it, and it's all fine. The system works, and if anyone ever wants to come in and get a used system, I might be old, just charge them the price, they'll leave. There was a warranty on it. You couldn't really lose with used systems. There was a warranty. If something didn't work right within the first month, which a month is a lot of time if you're planning on playing video games, you just bring it back. Well, sometimes friends of some people would come in, and their controllers that are broken for no real apparent reason other than their misuse or overuse sometimes, they'd say, hey, look, this is my controller and it doesn't work anymore, and I was wondering if you could get me another one. And I was like, yeah, sure, I can trade it in, sure. No, don't trade it in. Switch it out. And normally I'm not really okay with that. I did do it once or twice, but that's only because they were like these returning customers, like these guys that always came in. Like I'm talking like every other day, these guys would come in and buy something, and you want them to come back. And I was doing it out of customer service, not necessarily because I wanted favors or anything like that, but because I know that these guys are going to come back and they're going to keep us in business. So I didn't want to make them sad or anything like that. So I did it once or twice. I switched out a person's old busted piece of shit controller for one that worked with the used system. And that's bad. You're not supposed to do stuff like that. Now, the other guy that I told you, the other coworker that I told you about, that's super charismatic and stuff like that, he always did it. It didn't matter for who. If it was somebody that he knew that was either hot, knew someone hot or could do a favor for him, like hook him up with a new phone or something like that, he would do it. He even did it to whole systems, not just the controller. He did it to whole systems. Now, I kind of felt bad just for doing it for the 2 controllers, because what happens is someone comes in and they say, hey, I want to buy a used system. Okay. And then I hand them their used system. I now don't know if any of those parts work. I now don't know if the cables have been switched out. I don't know if the controllers have been switched out. I don't even know if the actual system itself has been switched out. There were so many times in inventory where we would compare the SKUs, like the barcodes on the back of the system, to what's on the box for the used systems, and they'd be mismatched. You want to know why? Because some asshole switched out consoles. Are you fucking kidding me? And he didn't get caught for the longest time. And when he finally did get caught, of course, he got fired and stuff like that. But you gotta put a limit on it, man. I mean, I might have done it like once or twice, but at least I regretted it. This guy did it without the blink of an eye. Like, he didn't care. And sure, I get it. The used system, if you buy a used system and something doesn't work, you just bring it back and you exchange it out for another used system, and maybe hopefully it works. Or if they're really unsatisfied, they get their money back. But that wasn't really the case, because all these used systems would be coming back defective, and we'd have to mark them as defective because apparently something didn't work. And it'd be costing the store money because so many systems were counted as defective when they really weren't. It was just some guy fucking with inventory. Wow. And then, that's all just from the customer side. And there's, I'm sorry, the coworker side, the company side. And there's a really big fiasco that went on back when I worked for him. The manager at the time, older guy, definitely an older guy, married, had kids, worked a second job. Everything that he did rode on that company. All right. He worked for Gamestop back when they were EB Games. He worked for EB Games back when they were some other title. Like, there was some title that was even before EB Games. He worked for that chain for such a long time. He told me a story. He went to a manager's conference, and a manager's conference is when they get a bunch of the managers for all the stores and stuff like that to gather at like a convention center in some state, sometimes Nevada or whatever. And they would show them presentations and new games and things like that. Not necessarily just to play them, but like, hey, look, this is how you can market this. They'd show them new techniques, how to talk to people, what they should be doing, what they should be telling their underlings to be doing. And they said, okay, who within the room, everyone was sitting down. They said, okay, whoever's been working for this company for 5 years or more, stand up. And a bunch of people stood up because obviously they're managers. They've been around for a while. Okay, whoever's been here for 10 years or more, stay standing. Everyone else sit down. Okay, maybe about half the room sat down. Next thing you know, he says 15. There's maybe like 20 people standing now. And then he goes, all right, 20. How many of you have been working for this company for over 20 years? Stay standing. And guess what? My manager was one of them out of 3 people. 3 people out of an auditorium of 200 people. If that is not dedication, I don't know what is. He's done so much for the company, and he gets screwed over eventually, which I'll get to. This guy worked with me till 1 a.m. one night. The store closes at 9 p.m. and we were there till 1 a.m. changing out advertisements, marketing, just making sure the store was all neat and clean for an event or something like that was going on. I forgot what it was. That's integrity. All right? That shows me that you care about your job. You have kids to go home to. You have a wife to go home to. And this guy is still here at his job making sure everything is okay. And his wife never regretted him for it. In fact, she actually visited him at the store a few times with the kids. And a fiasco came up. I think it was after one of the holiday sales. I don't remember, but $5,000 went missing. Cash. $5,000 in cash went missing from the store safe. Where'd it go? They had no video evidence of who took it. They only had one guy's word. That's it. They didn't have any evidence, but they looked. They looked around. They're like, well, this is the only guy that we can trust since he's the one that was handling the money. Now, guess who was handling the money that night? The charismatic guy that I told you about several times earlier. It was his job that night to close the store, and it was his responsibility to deposit the money in the bank. So what happens? $5,000 in cash goes missing, and he walks out of the store with it because he needs to go to the bank. But it never gets deposited. Now, what happened? What does he tell? What does he tell to the investigators? Oh, well, our manager said to meet him in the parking lot and give it to him because he said he will take care of it. Are you fucking kidding me? Did you just lie about that man, about that guy who worked endlessly for this company? Did you just lie about that guy? Are you shitting me? The guy who has kids, the guy who has a wife to take care of, a whole home to take care of. And you threw him under the bus like that because you wanted $5,000? And the best part is he thought that if the manager got fired since he was the assistant manager at the time, he would be made manager as well. So he thought he could get away scot-free with $5,000 and a management position. But guess what? They didn't trust him. They did not trust him. So yeah, sure. They looked at the manager guy and they said, well, he's got so many kids. He's got a household to take care of. He's working 2 jobs. He is kind of likely to take that money. Excuse me? This guy hasn't stolen anything from your company for 20 years? Or ever been accused of it? He's actually won awards for customer service and for sales and for keeping stores intact, and you're gonna fucking fire him? You're gonna believe that other jackass about his, the story in the parking lot? Fuck you, GameStop. What the fuck are you thinking? You've got to be fucking dense. You are honestly gonna look at that camera, at the recording. You're going to look at that recording, watch that guy with $5,000 in cash walk out of the store, and you're going to blame another guy for it with no evidence, and you're going to fire? Fuck you, GameStop. Fuck you. And it gets even better because obviously everyone knew that as a manager who's worked for that company for 20 years, he was probably making some good money. I mean, every year they have to give him a raise based on performance and stuff. So we're talking maybe every year, probably an extra 60 cents to $1 in performance. It's just, so they were looking for an excuse to get rid of him. Not only was GameStop looking for an excuse to get rid of him, they found it because of this jackass liar who got him fired. And what pains me even more is that jackass comes in within the next few weeks with a brand new phone, brand new shoes, brand new watch, a dent in his car is now fixed and stuff like that. He didn't have any money for this shit before. All of a sudden, just boom, he's got all this good crap now that the manager's out of the fucking picture. Now that whole fiasco's been gone. But lucky for us, they didn't make him fucking manager, because then that shithole would have gone down even deeper. They looked at him and they were like, no, we still don't think you're responsible enough or pretty much mature enough to be in management position. And he was pissed. Well, I don't care how fucking pissed you are. You just threw one of the most hardworking guys I've ever known under the bus so you can have some new shiny bullshit on you. Okay? And no one had exact evidence, so no one really called him out, because that's one hell of a claim. You can't just start some fiasco and say, no, you stole the money, yet there's no actual evidence for it. It's just him walking out of the store with it to go deposit it to the bank. That's it. So what the fuck were we going to do? What the fuck were the other coworkers going to do? Everybody knew that guy took that money. Everybody fucking knew it. Even the district manager fucking knew it. He knew that motherfucker took that money, yet he still fired one of the guys that he's been working with for years. Fuck GameStop. Oh my God, that makes me so angry. Like, I wouldn't want it to happen to any of you. I wouldn't want it to happen to anybody, especially if they have what is called integrity. He had integrity. Sure, he might have been joking around sometimes. Right? You know, he's just a normal human being just like anybody else. He's not perfect. He wasn't like always getting the best sales or anything like that. But for fuck's sake, you don't throw that guy under a bus like that. If he's making too much money, tell him something. Don't just fucking fire him. Say, hey, look, the company's really pining on money and everything right now. They're really penny pinching, as you know, and we might need to make some cutbacks on some manager fees and stuff. So we're sorry. Maybe we'll give you some time to go find another job or something like that. You know, whatever. But no, they just outright fired him because some jackass lied about $5,000 missing. Great. But don't worry about that guy. Don't worry about the manager guy, okay? Because he actually went on to greener pastures. He really did. And I'm sure tons of people are like, oh, that's good and everything like that. He got a really nice position over at one of his other workplaces. They upped him up. They bumped him up. So, you know, he was taking care of the whole place and everything. I'm not going to use any names, but he was definitely much happier because he didn't have to deal with jackasses. I can't believe this company. And so many people are like, hey, let's work for GameStop. Hey, let's, oh man, it's going to be so exciting to apply for GameStop and so I thought that too. I was ignorant and stupid just like those people. Hell, I thought back when I applied for GameStop, I was like, man, I can't believe I'm going to be around video games all day. I'm going to, in my own small way, be part of the video game industry. I can't fucking wait, man. This is going to be the best. And it ended up being a fucking nightmare. It's not even good on a resume that I have management because I've been applying over 40, 50 something applications and several of them being management positions, and it's not getting me anywhere. But maybe it's because I got fired from GameStop instead of laid off. And let's talk about why I was fired. Even though I didn't get paid a whole lot of money, I did a lot of things for my coworkers, especially when they were having bad days. The store was part of a strip mall, and connected to that strip mall was a coffee shop. So every now and again, it's like less than a 2-minute walk to the coffee shop. I'd say, hey man, look, you want like a blueberry muffin or something? You want like a muffin or like a coffee or something? And I'd go there and I'd spend my own money to make my coworkers happy. And my coworkers loved me because of it. Not necessarily because I was buying into their hearts or anything like that. Hey, I got myself a little coffee and shit too. I wasn't exactly excited to stand there all fucking day listening to people bitch about why the latest Battlefield isn't as good as Call of Duty. I don't care. But we had to listen to that kind of shit all fucking day. So why not go get a coffee or something like that? We didn't have a coffee machine in the back room. Why not? But of course, because I never really clocked out for something like that, because I never actually went on the computer, clocked myself out for like 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes, and then came back and then clocked myself back in, it didn't count. Like that's bad. You can't do that. And I see where they're coming from. From a company perspective, you can't do that kind of stuff. I get it. You're on the clock. You can't go buy things. You can't leave the store, especially when you're the manager. These are people that I trust. My coworkers, I taught them everything that I knew about running that store. And when there's no customers in the store, I'm going to go get a fucking cup of coffee. Fuck's sake. But they wanted to argue that it wasn't for 5-10 minutes. No. It wasn't for 20 minutes. Wasn't for 30 minutes that I apparently was gone. They want to say that I was gone out of the store for an entire hour. An hour. Are you shitting me? It does not take that long to get a cup of coffee. Nor does it take that long for that person to grab a blueberry muffin from that little cold display and just give it to me. It doesn't take a fucking hour. But of course, they want to round up. They want to make you seem like you're at fault no matter what you fucking do. Though that company is ridiculous. Let's see. Another thing that happened. This actually happened to one of my coworkers, who's also one of my good friends. He had a lot of stuff reserved. Like, this guy pretty much worked for GameStop to give GameStop his money back. Like, he always was reserving new systems, new games he wanted, and all this other kind of stuff. And eventually he had like $4,000 in reservations, like entire systems paid off under his name, whole games, collector's editions, strategy guides. The guy's fucking insane with this shit. He has eventually like $4,000 worth of reservations. And recently, this is recent, he went into the store and said, I would like to pick up all of that. Want to know what happened? None of his reservations were there. $4,000 worth of reserved stuff is gone, missing under his name. And want to know what the bitch behind the counter tells him? Oh, well, you don't need a driver's license in order to come pick up a reserve. So as long as you know the phone number, you can pick up your reserve. What the fuck is that? Did you just give away $4,000 worth of stuff to somebody that it doesn't belong to? Are you kidding me? $4,000 and you didn't even ask for a driver's license like you're fucking supposed to. What? They come in, unless you actually know them and that's their name. Never fucking do that. Never ever fucking do that. Ask for their driver's license. It's fucking ridiculous. You have got to be shitting me. You're behind that counter. It's your fucking job to check for that shit. And they don't do it? Fucking dumb bitch. And then the thing is that they didn't reimburse him. They didn't check cameras or anything like that. They pretty much just said, too bad, so sad. They didn't even want to take the responsibility for this. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. Oh, and let me tell you about the customers. All right? Now, this whole time I've been kind of talking about the company. Oh, all right, the company's bad. And the customers, they're not as bad, but it's not exactly a walk in the park. There we go. Let me sit a little bit better. Okay, customers. As you know, at GameStop, you could trade in a lot of stuff. You know, you could trade in systems, discs, controllers. It doesn't matter. And every now and again, we get this jackass to come in and everything he has is brand spanking new. All the controllers are brand spanking new. A brand new console taken out of box because you can't return stuff while it's still in the box, or you can't trade in stuff while it's still in the box. So he's like, oh yeah, I just got this and I realized I don't like it. And then when you go to turn it on and test it, it's never been turned on before. It's never been turned on. The controller has no wear and tear on it. Absolutely nothing's wrong with this thing. And guess what? We got to take it in. We can't just accuse him of stealing it. You know it's fucking stolen. But one time, I decided to put my foot down. Because this one guy came in with his wife, or girlfriend, or whatever. They were both really scrawny and really ashy. So I don't know what they were on, but it looked like they were trying to get drug money. You can say that's profiling all you want. I don't care. If you saw these people, you would understand, because they came in with 4 Xbox 360 controllers, 4 brand new Wii controllers, and 3 PlayStation 3 controllers. Every single one of them brand new. Brand new. And they said that they don't need them anymore. Anymore? You don't need these anymore? Did you use them? Yeah, we played some games and we don't want them anymore. No, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that trade. Why not? You got to take my trade. I'm not taking that trade. This is too fishy to me. And so he got all pissed off. I'm going to report you to the manager and all this other kind of stuff and blah. And I said, fine, go for it. I'm the manager on duty right now, but apparently I'm not a manager, but I'm the manager on duty right now. Please fill out a survey. Go to GameStop.com. Let them know. I'm not like, I couldn't take it anymore. You have no idea how often that happens. It happens so much that pretty much the entire used stock for a while was nothing but brand new stuff. But GameStop just had to take it in. I mean, I guess we can't legally say that they were, I don't know, maybe it was just a bad day. But you can't come in with that much stuff and honestly try and get me to believe that all of that was used and you just don't want it anymore. You're joking. You're joking. Oh man. Holy shit. What other things can I talk about? One of my other coworkers, way early back when I first started. Oh man, this guy was a trip. This coworker during Christmas could not handle the pressure. He's not good with talking to customers. If you want to call him like a high functioning autistic person, you can. Because he was always on medications and stuff like that. I mean, if you want to get honest about it, he was probably a high-functioning autistic person. And I did make fun of him for a few years and stuff like that because I also knew him in high school, and I apologize for that. Teenagers are just cruel. They just are. That's just how it's always going to be. Teenagers are always going to be assholes. And, hey, if you're out there and if you listen to this, I'm sorry, dude. I never really should have done that stuff to you. I really mean that. But you had a nosebleed in the back room for Christmas. There's lines of people in the store. The store is full, loud. Tons of people are mad, tired, especially us because we're still ringing out people, but you're in the back room having a nosebleed because you can't handle the social pressure. You can't handle how many people are in the store at that time. So you go back there, you panic, and give yourself a nosebleed. I'm not saying you punched yourself in the face or anything like that, but you panicked so hard you had a nosebleed? Dude, this might not be the job for you, man. This is the kind of stuff that you're going to have to deal with on a yearly basis. Look at all the people in here. There's 50 plus people in this store, and you got a nosebleed just because you don't want to talk to any of them or handle any of their transactions? All you got to do is ask if they want the warranty and let them move. Well, what the hell was so pressure intensive about that? It's retail. We're not asking you to pull a trigger and shoot somebody for fucking Christ's sake. But this guy goes in the back room, has a nosebleed. Oh, okay. Oh, man. And just working for GameStop. I know this video is getting long and I'm going to stop it here, but the only positive thing that came from me working for GameStop, the only positive thing that I can recall from working for GameStop is the boost in my social skills. That's it. As a retail salesman, especially when they tell you to walk up to customers and ask them if they need help and stuff like that, well, it kind of helps with your social skills. You have to talk to tons of different varying amounts of people. Some of them are actually really pretty ladies. Why not spark a conversation anyway? You have nothing to lose with that. But hey, it's all part of the job. Hey, welcome to GameStop. How can I help you? What are you looking for? Yeah, this is a good game. That's a bad game. Whatever. Hey, but it's just, look, if you're looking for work, if you know for a fact that you can get a job and you need the money and you're willing to do it as part-time, go for it. For a part-time job, it's not that bad, but don't ever try and move up that ladder. They will fucking screw you royally. They don't care who you are, how much work experience you have, what your financial situation is like. They don't care. They don't care at all. Zero, not a zip. In fact, if I were to put it on a scale, it'd be negative how much they care. They don't care. So, wow. This has been a long video. It's going on, 44 minutes? Shit. This has been Bob. Thank you for listening to my extremely long rant. Hopefully there won't be another one like this, but maybe there will. Who knows? Maybe if I get angry enough or someone's interested in more stories about something else. You guys have a good day.